Hi, and welcome back to the Retrodome Podcast. We've got a couple of guests with us. We have Josh and we have Lauren, who are both hosts of the Marvelless Podcast. How are we doing?
Hey Jeff,
Good,
good, thank you,
thanks.
man. How are you, dude?
Yeah, all right, thank you. So, Marvelless, what is that? Can you tell us more about it?
Do you want to do the podcast intro, Lauren, or do you want me to do it?
You can do the podcast intro. You're better at it.
The Marvelless Podcast is your once a month your superhero movie detoxing podcast, where we take all of the MCU and the rest of cinema and put them in a battle to the death to decide which is better. Currently, the MCU is winning.
After one episode.
Yeah, after one episode. Although when this one comes out, 2 episodes where it's actually it's a draw now. It's a draw at the moment. I think.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
For me, it's a spoiler because I haven't seen the episode yet.
Oh yeah, sorry. Time means nothing, Jeff. We recorded all of our podcasts in September, and they come out until like January next year. Time means nothing.
Oh, look, so forward planning. Nah, like it. So last one was Iron Man versus the Menu. I have, to be honest, I haven't seen either of them. So, yeah, just listen to that. It's like, yeah, the scene where such and such has happened. Like, yeah, okay.
Well, Jeff, that actually makes you the perfect person for the podcast. It's like, because I think it's more interesting to listen to people talk about films you've potentially not seen in a hope that it gets you to maybe watch a movie you've never watched.
Yeah, possibly.
Like the whole point of the podcast is, as much as it is to get the audience to like spread their horizons of cinema, it's for me and Lauren as well. Like, as we've been going on and recording them, I realized I watched like no movie.
Me either. I literally never watch any films.
And like it's been kind of a falling back in love with thinking about films critically for both of us, I think I can say.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time since I've literally analysed anything like that, and it's been really nice just to sort of like go back to the roots kind of thing.
Like looking at Marvel, that is something that's had like massive like spread of culture. Like, no, even if you haven't seen a Marvel film, you've seen one, haven't you? So, but the budgets they're massive, aren't they? Like,
Jeff, it's impossible to make a film for less than $200 million.
Right? Yeah, we've established that. Yeah.
You're going to be upset. Have you the new Marvel film, The Marvels? I think is like the most expensive Marvel film ever made. I think it's over $300 million to make.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Kevin Feige bragging about that on TikTok the other day.
What's he doing on TikTok?
Well, not him, but someone quoting him.
Wow, that's insane.
300 million. Like,
yeah, you could buy a country's GDP for that, but
that's like 3 Oppenheimers. That was 100 million.
Yeah, but mate, there's no.
How much did Ant-Man make? Do you know? Off the top of
your head. Which one?
The latest one.
Oh, probably at least £15.
One person went to see it.
Yeah, and they saw it in 3D as well. YouTube banter. I'm going to look up how much Iron Man made.
Okay, so with that, just while Josh is looking that up, the topic of today is looking at films that have like a big like social like splash, so a social like ripple, but having like a lower budget. And by low budget, I'm gonna say low budget, but like for Hollywood, what is low budget now? What like
less than $200 million. Before we get onto your really good question, Jeff, Ant-Man's production budget, of course, was $200 million. No idea how much is spent on marketing and advertising. Its gross was $176 million. So it did make at least
Okay.
its production budget back.
Interesting.
But I would say, I actually think it's kind of depending on where you are in the world, what you count a small budget film. I'd say in Britain, if the BFI give you £10 million to make a movie, that is a pretty big deal. But in America, $10 million is not a lot of money.
No. But when I was doing my spreadsheet research, most of the low budget films were around about 1 and 4 million. They were classed as kind of low budget films.
And that's just like, and when you're an indie filmmaker like we all are, $1 million is a big chunk of change. I can't think of all the sandwiches from Tesco's you could buy with that.
Another thing, I guess, that we don't really think of, but well, I mean, we think about it now, don't we? But inflation.
Oh yeah.
The just whatever like $1 million was back in say 2000. What's that now? Like we throw about all these numbers, but again, that I'm going to Google that actually.
Well, it's while you're Googling, I can vamp for you, Jeff. I always think it's in like there's kind of a mythos around like Star Wars being the original being a bit of an indie darling because it only cost $11 million to make in 1977. But then you need to take into account that is 1977.
That's a lot of money in 1977.
Yeah, but you say that Superman came out the next year and I think cost 5 times the amount that Star Wars did.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, it is a bit of a like comparative to other blockbusters. Star Wars was quite cheap at the time, but you couldn't make A New Hope today with $11 million. You couldn't. George Lucas doesn't get up out of bed for less than billions.
So, how much did you say the original Star Wars cost?
11 million.
11 million, and today that would be 55 million.
Well, for America, that would be because of the very small budget movie, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You couldn't make a quarter of an Ant-Man for that. But like, yeah, it's saying that like Everything Ever All at Once, which is that was the Oscar darling this year. That only cost $14 million to make. That is like for a film with a huge cultural impact. That is a tiny baby budget.
Yeah.
But then it didn't do extremely well at the box office. It made its money back, obviously, because it got to do a second run after it was nominated for every Oscar under the sun. But like, it's not like box office, magic. And there's maybe there's a link between, is that like, do Oscar films, like, do the Academy care about how much money you make a film for, or do they care about how many of the people who made your film are on the Oscar board? And that's how you get to decide how many films your Oscar gets.
Ouch.
Take that, the Oscars. I'm coming for you. I'm gonna get us cancelled, Jeff. This is every episode of every podcast I'm on.
It's got Taylor Swift after him.
Who else did you not slander, but yeah, who else did you?
I do a podcast, Jeff, where the sole purpose is to slag off Marvel movies.
Kevin Feige's next. He's coming.
Yeah, I'll just knock
$1 billion industry.
Yeah, taken down by me, a man from the Midlands.
But
it's just because I'm jealous, Jeff. I just want to make a Spider-Man movie. That's all it is. I can make it for less than $200 million.
You say you're going to get your money back then, and that's a good point. Like, wouldn't they make more money or turn a bigger profit if they spend less money?
Yeah, it is. like in the episode that me and Lauren recorded the other day, which is going to come out probably December next year. We we were talking about like Ant-Man is fresh on the mind because like it is like when you question whether $400 million is a profit or not, it is. You do have to think, how do you step back from all of that? And I think there's a lot of preconception that it's cheaper to do CGI than it is to do practical effects.
Mm.
And I think that might be a little bit of a fallacy. Like, the Henson company still make the Muppets, and the Muppets are still Muppets. They're not CGI yet, are they? And if it was cheaper to do them as CGI, it would be done as CGI. I think about when they remade The Thing in 2011 or 10, they did all that practical effects, and the studio was like, "Oh no, just CGI over that. It'll look so much better."
I think Marvel have kind of like got to a point now though where they are just relying on people to go and watch it. They just think, oh, people are so invested, they're going to watch it. And I think they've gotten to a point now where that's not the case. And I think they might find out in the next few films that, not as many people are going to watch it.
Is it the dreaded term franchise fatigue?
Yes. You know what, Jeff? Now's the perfect time to make a podcast about superhero films, especially as franchise fatigue really hits in.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I think they sort of like hit Endgame and they've just kind of like gone downhill after that. They've not stayed at that level with their storytelling and their excitement for in the movies, I think.
Yeah, I think like there is a lot of just assumption that people want to watch Marvel movies
Yeah.
and people do kind of just want to watch Marvel movies. I think, they released a Spider-Man movie in the middle of a pandemic. If you do believe in such a thing, sorry to get you cancelled, Jeff, for mentioning a pandemic. And that is what the third highest grossing film of all time, No Way Home is.
I'm not sure, but
Like,
yeah, it's just something somewhere around there, yeah.
yeah,
Big numbers.
it's at least top 700. It's it like I think when I do always, saying that, I do always think Spider-Man is the exception that proves the rule because he is like, my mum knows everything about Spider-Man and she'll sit down and watch a Spider-Man movie. She even asked when that film was coming out whether Willem Dafoe was in this one. So so like there is some Spider-Man is kind of a cultural phenomenon of finding superhero stuff, and I think as Lauren was saying, I think if they put a bit more care into it, they could get people excited about the new stuff that they're doing because it's the quality hasn't like dropped off massively. It's wavered a little bit.
Yeah.
I think a bit of back to basics and maybe going, okay, we've only got $100 million to make this movie. How do we make that work? Could probably really help because I don't know anyone that's excited about the Marvels movie, and it's with three established characters. Like Captain Marvel's been in what, 4 Marvel films now? Like people know who that is. People should be excited. Maybe not so much Miss Marvel and her
Monica
name's not
Rambeau.
Ram. Yeah, is that Rambo?
Yeah.
Yeah, there. I want to say Rambo, but it felt wrong. But with Sylvester Stallone's Rambo, you think that people would be, I just needs to be more care to like, me and Lauren are currently really back at the start of the MCU, and there is a lot more like attention to detail of what they're doing. Like there is so much more like love in like everything that they're doing,
Yeah.
and a lot more practical effects as well.
Should we get to the beat of this?
Please.
Right. So films that have made like a big splash. Now, do we all have an example? Yeah.
We got a few, yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
Ladies, please, Lauren. Ladies first.
All right, okay. Let me get up my spreadsheet. So, I feel like I'm pretty qualified to talk about this film. So, Twilight was a big hit film in 2008. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yes.
I've heard of it.
Have you missed this cultural revolution?
Most films I haven't seen. Is it?
To be fair, you're not missing much.
Whoa! That's you want to piss off the Twilight fans as well as the Taylor Swift fans, the Marvel fans, and the pandemic deniers. Come on, Lauren.
Well, it was good back in 2008. I think if you watched it now,
Still good now.
you'd be, I think, in our more kind of woke and feminist culture, would be like, ugh. To be honest.
You say there's something weird about a 200-year-old man like gulping at a 16-year-old girl, Lauren. You think there's something wrong with that, do you? You woke karate.
Oh. It's just a bit horrendous, really.
Yeah.
Twilight came out in 2008. I believe the books had been out for a few years before that and had got extremely popular. And they kind of just took over. I remember personally being like a right diehard Twilight fan, but not only me, every single woman in the workplace that I worked was like reading the books, swapping the books, and like sharing all the books together. It was like, like 50 Shades of Grey went mad. It was like that at the time. And so then sort of like the movies came out and like people were going to see them at midnight showings. I don't think I went to a midnight showing, but I definitely like had like a few birthdays because they used to come out sort of like in November time. And I definitely went to see at least 2 of them for my birthday with like loads of women from work, and we all went and had like cocktails beforehand and went to go see the movies together. And yeah, it was just an insane time. It was just literally like Twilight everything. Sorry, I was going to say the budget for this was like 37 million, which is fairly low budget for an American film, I would have thought.
2 months rent in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And then it's made like 408 million.
Well, that's a over 1,000% return on profit.
And it made over 7 million in midnight showings alone on the first day, on the first night.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, and then 35 million on opening day.
I've got to ask Lauren, team Edward or Jacob?
I was always team Edward.
Yeah.
If you go a bit further along, team Jacob is a bit crazy, a bit weird. No.
Yeah, they're the, just to fill you in, Jeff, I think they're the men that are always topless.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's like what earned the money then?
Yeah, well, there's the pale men and the topless men, from my understanding. Something for everyone.
I think it was more sort of like it was a book aimed at teenagers, but was more kind of raunchy and, it dealt with like teenagery things. And I don't know, I just think it just resonated with a lot of young women. I think that's how it's like made its money, really.
Okay. So was it sort of like the film's targeting the same audience as the book? So were they trying to target like a slightly older demographic, or was it like a similar?
I was probably, how old was I? About 19, I think, 19 when it came out. But then there was a lot of older women at work that were really into it as well. So I think they were just trying to capture like probably more a female audience, between sort of like 15 and 30, I guess. So that kind of sort of like youngish.
It's a one quadrant movie, we call it. We're just targeting the one quadrant, women.
Well, yeah. That's how you look at the Barbie movie. That's how you make your money. Make films for women.
The Barbie movie is not for women, Lauren. It's for everyone. I mean, what the 11th highest grossing movie of all time, right?
Yeah.
I tell you, it's certainly not for a certain type of man, but I really enjoyed Barbie.
Loved it. Enough.
To be fair, I think it's amazing, but a lot of the men that I've talked to, I'm just like watching that.
A lot of the men are missing out on a very funny Ryan Gosling performance.
I said this. Ryan Gosling's best performance ever, probably.
I've got a Barbenheimer shirt, and I get judged for it, and it's like, have you seen Barbie? It's like, no. It's like, right, I'm not accepting criticism from anyone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, it is a film which people who had not seen became very versed in how good or bad it was.
Yeah, loved it. Loved the discourse around it, because it was either like really thought out, like really well articulated, or just really entertaining, like meltdowns of yeah. Either or.
You could say it, Jeff. It's the alt-right. The alt-right had a really odd reaction to it.
Yeah. The alt-right do what the alt-right do. Yeah.
Like it was almost a personal attack on that kind of man.
Yeah, I do think so many men felt personally attacked from that film.
I genuinely felt very seen, because there are like what's he called? Alan. Alan is like such a proof that there are different type of men in the world who are like pro women and like just there to help.
Yeah.
You know. Sorry.
No, come.
No, please, you had probably a better question than I had, ramblings about how handsome
No.
how handsome Michael Cera was in that movie. That's all I had to say. Michael Cera was very handsome, and it blew my. I never have considered him to be a not attractive gentleman, but I was like, oh no, Michael Cera can get it, can't he?
Only as Alan.
Yeah, I think apparently only as Ginger Alan.
I think someone I saw this thing on the internet that I thought was like an interesting point, but I'm not sure. I don't know, like I've just been sort of like on the fence of it, that they read that Barbie was like female, Ken was like the male, and Alan represented like non-binary or gender non-conformity. So
okay.
I don't know, like do you think that fits? Or
I feel like there was like an undertone of Alan was like the gay guy, but I don't think it's ever like explicitly said. But
yeah, but I'd say that Ken was clearly the gay guy. like because Ken's masculinity was so performative, and like someone pretending to be like straight. It's like a pantomime performance of straightness, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, let's do sleepovers at your house because that's what men do. Not really understanding, or not even maybe even wanting it, just going, oh, that's what a straight man does, is he has sleepovers at the woman's house. Like, you know.
I think that's a lot of Ken's character, though. He was just like, he's like, this is what men do. And I don't think he necessarily actually wanted to be like that.
Oh no, I have all the genitals.
This is just like what Ken is and what Ken does.
He does beach, I heard. And just to get it out in the air, guys, a classic budget of $100 million to make Barbie. It also used up all the pink paint in America, from my understanding. They like literally ran out of pink paint, and it made back a casual $1.4 billion. So that's a pretty good return on investment.
Wow.
Go woke, go incredibly wealthy. That's all I'll say. Looking forward to the Betty Spaghetti movie coming out summer 2025.
They'll be doing a Bratz doll movie soon.
Whoa, Bratz is already a pretty good movie, Lauren.
original one.
Yeah, it's got a time jump of a year, 2 minutes into a movie. That's pretty bold. I assume you've not seen the Bratz movie, Jeff.
I haven't seen it either.
No.
It's trash, but like it's enjoyable trash. Like, and it's not trashy in the same way like The Room is trash, where it's like someone guessing in the dark at how to make a movie. It's clearly made by people that know how a film is made, that went, oh, we want to make a Mean Girls that you can sell Bratz dolls to.
Is this Bratz with real people, not
No,
cartoon
yeah,
Bratz?
yeah, it's real people. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like the CG, like
No,
Bratz.
it's real people. It's probably got very famous people in who are probably all in the Barbie movie.
Same audience then, I'm guessing.
I'd probably say same audience of somewhere between Barbie and Twilight. Bratz is not the social commentary vehicle that Barbie is. Bratz is about 4 tween girls with bratitude that need to learn to become friends again. I don't know why I'm doing marketing for the Bratz movie.
I'm shocked by how much you know about the Bratz movie.
That true cinema right there.
Yeah. It made digital cinema. It flattened the curve. It opened everyone's horizons. Bratz was probably shot on film.
That's how you know it's a real movie.
Well, yeah, that's how I actually need to check now. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't want to spend all of this podcast looking at my phone down here.
So yeah, to like the
Ooh.
Oh,
it certainly just made its budget back. It cost $20 million to make. It made 26.
okay. Hey, it's still a profit. Nothing concedes that. Not all films make that the money.
Also, it was shot on 35mm.
Oh, beautiful.
It was shot anamorphic as well.
Oh. Pushing the boat out. Love it.
Got that Lawrence of Arabia aspect ratio Bratz.
Yeah, but the oblong bokehs.
Yes. You know what?
The only way you can tell.
Yeah.
Well, the only way I can tell, really.
Well, you can fake that effect as well, Jeff, by hanging a piece of fishing wire in front of your lens, because it distorts the light as it hits your thing and it gives you oblong bokeh.
Don't tell Hollywood that.
Also, speaking of weird bokeh and Michael Cera, in Scott Pilgrim, the bit where him and Ramona become boyfriend and girlfriend for the first time, all the bokeh is love heart shaped, and it's like so subtle and it's gorgeous.
Oh.
And all done in camera because Edgar Wright toes that line between practical and CGI.
So yeah, we're derailing with like.
Of course, because you got me on, Jeff. What did you expect?
Edgar Wright and Barbie, Twilight. So sorry, Lauren. You're saying about Twilight.
Well, what else is there to say? I mean, it was a cultural phenomenon. Yeah. I think it's particularly. I just remember living the Twilight life for quite a while when I was younger, and I think a lot of young women at the time would feel the same.
I mean, there probably is a wider point here as well, that like that is a film like Lauren said 15 minutes ago before I got involved in the conversation. it was a film aimed at women. Like men can obviously go and watch it, they won't turn you away at the door, but like it is a female movie, like aimed at, and you know, as cinema tries to become as broad as appeal as possible and like, you know, step away from the concept of like a 4-quadrant movie or a 2-quadrant movie, you know, Twilight is of an era where you go, oh, we are aiming this exclusively at women that think Robert Pattinson and the guy that's not Robert Pattinson are very attractive, and they will pay money to look at them. Who's the other one, Lauren?
Taylor Lautner.
That's it. Is he still famous?
I think so. He hangs. Do you know Greg Davis, the comedian?
Yes.
He did quite a bit with him. Like they had a series together.
Oh.
He also married someone else called Taylor.
Oh, at least like that gives them the relationship name of Taylor, at least. Yeah.
Okay, so
But you go next, Jeff, because I'm not going to shut up about mine.
right. So for mine, I decided to look at a film called Dolemite. It was released in 1975. It was written, produced, and starred Rudy Ray Moore, who was like a stand-up comic who like made a name for himself and started to do like these albums of his comedy as well, which I don't think you hear too much about that. Like you see like your comedy specials go out and maybe like a DVD, but I guess they weren't as popular as were back then because it was like music. You had these great big like LPs of like just all like the comics and like other comedian stuff that they jokes or stand up. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Put that on.
Speaking of problematic comedians, I do have what is, and this is not a justification of his actions. I have a very funny double Woody Allen cassette, which is just stand up, and it is genuinely very funny by a genuinely creepy man.
Well, I mean, I guess like you can enjoy the work without enjoying the person, can you? Like, can you really
Exactly.
separate them?
Woody Allen, no, because he's talking about how Woody Allen he is, and it's very Woody Allen.
Right.
It's not like when Al Murray becomes the pub landlord. There's no facade there.
All right. So with his LPs, he first created the character of Dolemite in one that's called Eat Out More or something like that. He was quite like raunchy and that's that sort of humor. So there's that element, but that's where his character of Dolemite first started, and then he decided, like seeing all these other films, like really want to like make something like this and get into it. So he did. He used a lot of his own money, but during production it ballooned to like $100,000,
Wow.
which like really went out of control there. But yeah, but during production, like behind the scenes, like writing and other actors, he also used a lot of his like fellow comics that that he met on the scene, like as he looks to the IMDb page, like Jerry Jones and like Lady Reed, who had prominent roles in the film. It just which also added to their chemistry. Like they know each other's like comedic rhythm. They're comfortable with each other, so that just sort of worked. The film Dolemite followed Dolemite as he was released from prison, and yeah, he was it was basically a pimp, but it's also it's revealed that but it's also revealed
Dear.
but it's also revealed later on that his brothel also doubles up as a karate school.
Okay,
Sorry.
Jeff, I understand this film completely. I understand everything about it. It's like classic black exploitation. Everything about you're saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Has it got the best soundtrack in the world you've ever heard?
every character has their own little song as they're introduced. It's and you also get Rudy Ray Moore sort of like sing along to it, as like with the main villain who how did it go? It was like, some people say that Willie Green is the baddest mother blah 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 as you've ever seen. Which, I mean, it rhymes.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
no need for rhymezone.com for that. Like, they figured that out.
but yeah, the main character's trying to like get Dolemite done for like drug running, and yeah, it's also working with the police. Like, oh yeah, get him off the streets, get him locked up so I can take over his like brothel karate house, which they then go try to like no, sorry, it's this club that he tries to get back, but it ends up like this weird like it's something that should be seen. It should be seen. And I would recommend it. It is very 70s, should I say, in its sort of attitudes to like race, gender, and all those things. But if you put that to one side, it is an enjoyable experience.
Very 70s, like Star Wars. Cool, I get it. Yeah.
There's I seem to remember far less uses of like profanity in Star Wars. So I don't know which version you saw.
You should be in the room when I'm watching it, mate.
Oh, is that the original cut before 1997? Before he like
you should see this. You should hear what I say about every time they use one of those fucking transitions. It is. So sorry. This is maybe a bit unfair, Jet. Lauren only recently found out that I'm a Star Wars fan. And you'd think looking like this it'd be obvious, and like
I just thought you were like classically like, oh, Star Wars is rubbish, but like everything else.
No, I'm the other way around. I'm like, Star Wars is great, everything else is rubbish. No, but I can't stand wipes, and that makes watching.
It's not Star Wars without them wipes.
Yeah, but I think Star Wars would be so much better without them. If they were all just hard cuts. Like transitions are always really hard. And again, Jeff, a product of the 70s when they figured out that they could do these fucking awful transitions.
It must have been expensive back then as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you had to like keep exposing. You had to like expose the film and stuff. Like all those wipes in Star Wars would have been some of the most expensive things on camera. You know, you can put a shorter gentleman in a tin can in the middle of the desert for no money, but trying to make it so it does a weird iris in on like C-3PO off the Death Star. It's like, this is going to cost millions of dollars to figure out. Oh dear. Where Dolemite can be watched, Jeff? Would you recommend?
I think it's
YouTube?
on one of these. Yeah, I think it is on YouTube. Yeah, not one of these like just ripped it and just put it on there. No, an official channel has put it on there, and a lot of the sequels and the other films that he made. A couple of things to say about the film. A lot of the punches and kicks, they don't connect.
Good.
There's like a good like foot or two in between like some of them, and it's quite obvious some of the times. And another thing was that the original like showing of the film was shown in the wrong aspect ratio. It was like the film was like 4:3, but it's supposed to be shot in a 1:8:5 aspect ratio with the top and bottom cut off. But no, the whole gate was shown, which meant that the boom mic was seen quite a few times. And you can even see the boom operator and his like just like the back of his head in one of them as he's like pointing up at the actors. And there's a bit of a drinking game. So if you're going to watch Dolemite and if you want to like have a bit of a drinking game, there you go. Take a shot every time you see the boom mic.
I assume there's probably a fan edit of Dolemite in correct aspect ratio.
Actually, I think on the official channel it's in the proper aspect ratio, you know, staying to the artistic intent and whatever. But you can watch the version with the full 4:3, which
that's like how on the Memento DVD you can watch it in order if you press somewhere on the menu.
Oh,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
I haven't tried that. No.
Yeah, I think somewhere on the Memento DVD, if you press like on one of the menus, you can just watch it in a straight line. I assume it's probably less interesting.
It probably makes sense, but
yeah. I do always like the theory that that film was meant to be in order, And Nolan was like, "Oh, this is kind of boring. Just put it backwards." like 15 minutes before they had to show a producer being like, "Just put it backwards.
Just cut it up.
Just put it up." Oh
So-
man, I will be definitely watching that. Not to promote YouTube because it's an evil corporation owned by Google. YouTube's got so many movies you can just watch on it, and that I feel like it's such an underutilized like streaming service. Because obviously you do have to like pay and rent. Like, you know, it's helped us with the podcast, helped me and Lauren with our podcast once. But
Is,
then
is Battlefield
Isn't-
Earth on YouTube?
it's not.
Wow. Nobody
Yeah,
wants that
there-
film to be seen.
Yeah, coming out at some point in the future, Jeff, me and Lauren did a Battlefield Earth, which is the reverse you're talking about, a film that was very expensive with no cultural impact. Other than maybe legitimizing Scientology to a bunch of people. But
I don't think it legitimized it.
well, it gave John. It didn't kill John Travolta's career, sadly, so that kind of semi-legitimizes it, doesn't it?
Also, like the Dutch Tilts, was that the film?
Oh,
The-
yes.
Right.
Can you? Yeah, I would recommend, Jeff, if you're going to watch two of the films from the Marvellous Podcast, it's got to be 4 and and Battlefield Earth, because they are both Dutch tilt heavy.
I'll add that to
Oh,
the
dear.
list.
I feel like every time I come to this podcast, Jeff, that list gets 7 miles
Yeah,
longer.
you just like
Yeah.
really love films. Like, oh, yeah, have you seen this? Nah, I haven't seen that. Like, I've got a cabinet that's full of DVDs. I've seen probably like a fifth of them.
Well, I get about that. That's the joys of doing media analysis stuff like your podcast and things. It's an excuse to watch. Like, even if you like
Yeah.
trick yourself, like, oh, this is like a serious watch because I'm having to like analyze it. You know, it's still you still are sitting down and watching a movie. I say on mine and Lauren's podcast, we do have to take notes, and sometimes I forget I have to take notes. So I'll watch something and be like, oh, I was going to write something down. then I go back and watch it again.
So just going back to
Yes.
Dolemite as well. So they managed to like release that, and bear in mind it's like 1975. Like, even though segregation was illegal in the US, legally, practically, there was still a lot of like again, like separation, and a lot of the distribution companies that were owned by predominantly white people were like, we only make films that would be aimed towards white people. This film doesn't appeal to that. And like, typically Hollywood being like films made by white people and like showing white people with white characters for white people. It's like with a female audience that's a demographic that isn't really being tapped into. But once you tap into it, it's like, what do you know? Yeah.
It's the Twilight effect. Go for the quadrant that people aren't making things for.
Exactly,
You know?
yeah. And he decided just to reach out to individual cinemas that he knew of, that had good ties with in the community, and they're like, yeah, we'll have it. Did absolute numbers on it, and that's like, so got the attention of distributors. They were like, actually, yeah, we'll distribute it, and then end up like distributing again and making loads of money on it. There's a film on Netflix called Dolemite Is My Name, which follows Eddie Murphy playing Rudy Ray Moore and the making of the original Dolemite. It's quite good. Recommend watching it. But yeah, the film ended up getting a cult following. The film ended up inspiring people like Eddie Murphy, Wesley Snipes, Quentin Tarantino. So like back then it was like very much like a cultural phenomena, but I guess nowadays people haven't really heard much about it, which is a bit of a shame really. But yeah, it's peaks and valleys, I guess. But no, it's pretty good. I recommend it. and Rita Ray Moore and a lot of the cast and crew end up making quite a few other films afterwards. So, and yeah, that started a few careers, and yeah.
That's amazing. And I think you're right, Jet. I think lots of people's cinema like history knowledge is quite don't want to say lacking because that feels insulting, but you know, could do more work. And I think especially that of marginalized filmmakers as well. Hence podcasts and stuff like ours where you are trying to expand minds. And I will admit, I think my 70s cinema is probably my weakest era of knowing films from, you know. I feel like early cinema, when there's only like 7 films you could watch, cinema history is very easy, you know.
Just less of them.
Yeah, like it gets harder, obviously, the more films that appear. But like, yeah, I think you're totally right, Jay. I would like every like film, like there's there's a lot of charm and real feel to like films in the 70s that are shot quite cheap and like, you know, because they use real locations and things aren't sets and stuff, and like it is an element of filmmaking that is essentially dead now. But like, and it makes, I always feel like you get a real strong taste of the city that the place is shot in a film like that. Like films in the 70s in New York that were shot on film cheaply really feel like they're in New York. Like, and I think something that kind of has happened in films, like I'd say over the past maybe 20 years, is every city, because they don't shoot on location, they shoot on green screen, and the city's put in afterwards, feels like every other city in the world. Like even the new Spider-Man films don't feel very New Yorky. I know he's not in New York for some of them, but like if you compare them to like the Raimi Spider-Man movies from the early 2000s, like they feel super New Yorky. Like, and I think in at least 1 and 2, like the people of New York are like part of that, and like, you know, and I think when you are like the part of the plots, and they have like moments where they even help Spider-Man, and it gives the location a personality as well. But yeah, and I think it's something that we are losing. But when you watch films like the Dolomite, you know, you will actually get a taste for where it is, which is really nice. And then you watch that and realize that no films feel like the place you were raised because you don't live in New York or London.
Or Los Angeles. That's
Well,
the other
Los
big
Angeles,
one.
yeah, LA is the big one, isn't it?
Mm.
I like it when a film's meant to be in New York, but it was shot in Vancouver, and the New York and the New York skyline's got mountains in it. I'm like, ah, yes, the famous New York mountains. So there's a couple of streets in Liverpool that were built at the same time as New York was by a very similar working architect. So you can shoot at street level and it looks like New York, and lots of filmmakers in the UK do use those like 2 streets in Liverpool because you can really sell it for New York.
Okay.
There's a cheap filmmaking tip for you filmmakers out there. Get the train to Liverpool. It will cost you about as much as a flight to New York will cost you, and then you can. But you can take your batteries because you can't take batteries on planes, no matter how much you ask.
Mm.
I thought you could take them, but they had to be in your hand luggage.
Yeah, I think I thought they're not meant to be in your hand luggage. Which one is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Impossible to check as well.
Isn't it like songs are not in like the big cargo hold?
Yeah.
Because if they go like
If they go bang there, if they start getting hot, yeah, they can't do anything about it.
Whether it's in your hand luggage, you at least can like, oh no, it's smoking, my battery's smoking. What do
In
I
the
do?
toilet, in the toilet, in the toilet, in the toilet. Crack a window. What a draft.
Grab that pilot.
Yeah. You know what, guy? I really like sleeping with the window open, which made the 5 years I worked on a submarine just really, really hard for me. My crewmates hated me. Oh, it's drafty in here, lads. That's the prepared material I brought.
So, Mr. Josh.
I've got nothing to say, mate.
Oh, okay. Right. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah. I've got two things we could talk about here, Jeff. I'm looking at the list that Lauren prepared for us. And would you like, what kind of cultural impact? Do you want something that potentially ruins cinema forever, or ruins cinema forever in a different way?
Oh, flip a coin at this point. What do you reckon, Lauren?
I'm just looking at the list going, what is he talking about?
My two to talk about are Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, which truly ruins the horror genre forever. Like, these are both like I think a big thing that came when I was researching this as well, that the films that are made for cheap that do really well are horror movies. And then, pardon me, if you can cut around that or make that louder, whatever you'd like to do. Enhance it, put a delay on it.
Reverb
it, yeah. Can't wait to see that TikTok clip. Like, horror films are always aimed at being the really good return on investments. And then, like, reading is that even further, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was essentially funded for by the mafia, yeah, I believe it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I could be misremembering here, but essentially a mobster was looking for a place to hide some money. So there was a filmmaker looking to looking for investors for this film. He thought this Texas Chainsaw Massacre film is going to make no money. And then it started to make lots of money. And then the IRS got involved. And I think maybe that mobster went to jail for illegal gains or something. I don't know. There's some homework for people. But yeah, seriously, mob money helped make the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Bit of film history for you guys. I think that's the 70s, I think.
1974.
Yeah. I'll say one thing about that. That's got the most deserving wheelchair death you'll ever see in a film. Because every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I can't wait for that guy in the wheelchair to die.
Yeah. No, I can second that. This is actually a film that Josh has mentioned that I've seen. So
yeah.
Mark the date and time.
Yeah. He is so annoying. But like, he's also, I think, the only guy that is killed by a chainsaw in the whole film as well. For a film called Chainsaw Massacre, you'd expect more of it.
Wasn't it like a hammer and
meat hook?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And I think someone dies of a broken heart at one point.
I'm not sure I've seen the original.
It's pretty good, Laura. I think it was made by the mafia, so it's pretty good.
It's got to be amazing.
Fun fact: the director was aiming for that film to get a PG rating, as opposed to what would be then called an X rating.
Yeah,
it got an X rating.
What's that now? PG-13.
I think it's called NC-17 now in America, but that's generally reserved for like sexually explicit stuff, but like really gory stuff, just R rating that. But no, that got an X rating in 1974, and I was like, wait, what? No, I was aiming for a PG. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean PG?
Well, he thought the wheelchair death would really pull it back for him.
But his reasoning was there was actually very little in the way of blood.
No, it's the Psycho thing, isn't it? It's all the theater of the mind. Like, Psycho is not a gory movie, but it's the implication of it. You know, I can imagine him sat there making that dinner table scene. Is like, yeah, this is about as scary as Gremlins is. Actually, that's about example, because Gremlins is like one of the first 13 rated movies.
Oh, that came out afterwards. So
He did,
it would have been a visionary.
Well, he had future sight as well. He's like an X-Men. Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch are like essentially the birth of the digital revolution of filmmaking. It's like, oh, we can buy a digital camera for $200, all the tapes we need for another $200, and then make a movie. Like Lauren wrote down the numbers for me here. Blair Witch cost $60,000 to make, which I actually think it only cost them $5,000 to make. And then when Universal picked it up, they made them reshoot and re-edit some of it. I think that film's got like 6 different endings because they couldn't just. Do you guys know the last shot of Blair Witch? I'm going to spoil it for you if you don't. So I'm sorry, guys. It ends with someone stood staring in a corner, and that was the original ending.
Ooh, yeah.
And they made them shoot 6 different ones, and they went back to the original anyway. And Paranormal Activity, it's cost 60. So Blair Witch cost $60K to make, made $248 million, which is a huge return on investment. Speaking of film studios being not nice and strikes and stuff, the lady who stars in Blair Witch talks about how she remembered seeing billboards for her face all over LA while she was struggling to pay rent and reading about how successful this movie was. And then she joined the Actors Guild, I believe, 2 days later. Because, these films don't cost a lot of money to make, and then they make a lot of money, and that money just goes to the studios to distribute them. It very rarely makes its way back to the actual artists involved. And again, Paranormal Activity, $15K to make, made $194 million, which again, a huge return on investment. And then just inspired the whole cam horror genre, and then that even makes its way into J.J. Abrams' kind of eyesight, and he made what is 8 Mil or Chronicle, the one that's like a found footage superhero film with those kids or something.
8mm.
Yeah.
Super 8, sorry.
Super 8, sorry. Yeah. Lauren, do you want to read the bit because the text is really small on my phone?
Oh, hang on. So, Paranormal Activity, it started out in 12 theaters on its first weekend. In 3 weeks, they'd put it in 600 theaters, and it is now the most profitable film of all time.
Wow.
There you go.
And that's basically just from word of mouth and people going to see the film. They've just had to put it in more places so more people can watch it. It's crazy.
That is one of those films, I think, that and Blair Witch, that had those film trailers, which is just night vision footage of audiences watching the film will go, "Boo!" and no actual footage of the movie.
I know exactly what you mean. They're just people just going, "Oh my god," absolutely petrified in the dark.
This was pre-YouTube, wasn't it?
Blair Witch is definitely. Paranormal Activity might get a bit of YouTube, right?
Paranormal Activity.
When's YouTube? 2006.
2000. It was widely released in 2009.
Yeah, there you go. I Blair Witch to me as well has got kind of that cult thing where people are like, oh yeah, people vomited watching Blair Witch because it's so scary. And it's like, oh no, you watch Blair Witch, it's all handheld camera. It's really shaky. It probably made people motion sick.
And people aren't used to seeing that in a film. That's what they're scared of.
Yeah. It's like you watch handheld footage on a 20-foot tall screen. It's probably going to get you a little bit. If you've not seen Blair Witch, even though I said what the ending was half an hour ago, I would really recommend it. It's fun to watch in its context because you've got this group of filmmakers that are really treading new ground. They're kind of taking the kind of semi-mockumentary approach to making this, because it is presented as true fact. It's got like talking heads at the beginning, and like not the talking heads we were talking about earlier. It's got like it's got like interviews with people, and it's meant to be a true story. And again, J.J. Abrams rips that off when he does Cloverfield, which is meant to be a true story thing. J.J. Abrams is a fucking con artist. I said it, JJ. Come for me. You owe Ryan Johnson an apology. He's a good filmmaker. Glass Onion was fine. It was just different.
Let's go with the cult classic Donnie Darko.
Ooh.
Just like I would say like 90% of every film nerd's favorite, one of their favorite films.
Too scary, Lauren. Too scary. Not seen
Not
it.
scary. How have you not seen that?
Because it's scary, Lauren.
It's not scary.
But you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah.
Yeah. Different. Older films aren't scary.
There's nothing scary about a plane crashing through your bedroom.
Oh yeah, there's nothing scary about that. You say that to a child whose formative memories are all 9/11. Sorry, Jeff, I'm going to get you cancelled by people who think that didn't happen either.
I don't remember what happened in Donnie Darko. So there was a bunny, there was a rabbit.
Yeah.
That's Donnie, I assume.
No. I think he's called Frank.
Oh.
I think the rabbit was called Frank. And it's about time travel, and I thought the film, I don't think actually has any meaning. It's very interpretive. I think that's why a lot of film people like it. It was made for $6 million in 2001, and it actually only made $7 million back.
Oh.
Is that a box office though?
Yes, I think so. But I would imagine it's made a lot more on like DVD sales and stuff, because it sort of like became a cult classic after quite a while, I think, after it had been released in the cinemas. But it's one of the, out of our list, I think it's the highest IMDb score.
Ooh.
That's 8, which is pretty high, I would say. And I think I was written some like marketing notes alongside how these films are kind of like done so well. But this particular film had a website that offered exclusive content for the film. So there was more information about the characters. There's like about what happened to the characters after the film, and there's like lots of different theories. And I think, if I remember rightly, there was like you could follow like one of the wormholes, and it would take you through different pieces of content.
Wow.
And there was like things from inside the film, like a letter that like Donnie had written, and there's like he goes to visit this like crazy old lady, and she's got like a red book full of stuff, and you can read through that red book.
Wow.
And this was like in 2001, so that like had this like amazing sort of like interactive extension to the film, like even back then.
That's really that. You know what? I was reading up on this the other day. That is something that has kind of died on its arse as well, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Matrix 2 is famous for having like a really weird reception, but that's because the Matrix 2 was like part of a massive like, you had to go to the website to find out about it, and like lots of characters in the film were introduced in other bits of media like comic books and like on the internet and then like video games. But so if you hadn't consumed all of that, this film just kind of comes across as like, am I meant to know what's happening in any of this? And I feel like that like kind of utilization of the internet as beyond a marketing tool is, kind of. I wonder if that Donnie Darko website's still up.
Apparently you can. It's been archived, but I think you can
that's
still
good.
go on. I think you can still look at it. But I was just like, do they make a website for a movie these days?
Like the only thing I can think about that is in our wheelhouse, Lauren, is that in Ant-Man 3, Jeff, your favorite movie that you've definitely seen, Ant-Man Ant-Man releases a book in the movie that's like a biography, and they've just released that biography in real life. So like that's kind of is the word I'm looking for extra textual? Is that the word?
Maybe.
Like meaning from outside the main text and into like other stuff instead.
Oh, that's all. ARG.
Oh yes, ARG. That's yes. Going back to what you said at the beginning, Jeff, might have even been before the podcast. Like, there's something that video games used to do a lot of as well. I remember BioShock 2 having like a website that you could like solve puzzles on to find out about this character who'd found Rapture, the city underwater. And again, it like doesn't damage you to not have seen that, but then seeing it gives you more context of what happens in the film. And
Right.
speaking of films and internet and things, like another one on our list was Primer. Have you seen Primer, Jeff? You'd probably not. There's no way you've seen Primer. That's a time travel film from 2004, which took them $7,000 to make,
Oh,
and, and it made 54, sorry, $545,000 back, which is
okay.
again, that's a pretty good profit for. I think I just want to say the guy that made it like wrote, directed, starred, edited, and is also I think now maybe a bit of a piece of shit. But like,
He did
if
the
you
music
remove,
too.
he did the music as well.
Why is
um,
why is he a piece of shit?
I think like he's got some maybe not great like political views about
Right.
maybe topics he's not well enough versed in to make decisions about, like a
Okay.
podcaster, if you will, a proto podcaster. And like Primer is like I'm a hypocrite for this. I hate films that are like ending of Ant-Man 3 explained, where it's like I don't need Ant-Man's 3's ending explained to me. And anyone that does needs their media literacy improving tenfold. But Primer is a film that benefits from discussion because it is a time travel movie which it's hard to tell. It's revealed halfway through that this is not even a spoiler because you're not going to be able to fucking tell from watching it anyway. Halfway through, one of the characters has been traveling back in time way longer than any of the other characters have been. And it's like very, very like it's almost found footagey. But again, just because it's shot on a handheld, like actually it was shot celluloid, but it's handheldy, and it feels really real. And I forget what city it is shot in, but again, that thing we were talking about with 70s like exploitation movies and stuff, you get a real sense of the feel for the places that these people are because they're all just real locations and none of it's sets. And like I think Primer kind of was a really good cultural like picking up of indie filmmaking. And again, like the thing talking about Donnie Darko, like understanding of the internet's place in film like discussion and critique. Something that the three people sat here now benefit from. We benefit from people going, oh, the internet isn't just a way to send letters electronically. It's a place where people can, express the ideas and, you know, delegitimize politicians in elections. It's like it's a place for anything. I am going to be able to get through a point at some point without making a dig at current society, but today's not going to happen today.
Yeah, that's why I listen to you. That's why I listen to you. Just take digs at the society we live in.
Yeah, man. I have my privilege and I checked it. I'm a I'm a special kind of white guy.
What's the point of society if you can't like criticize it?
Exactly. Well, there's some people that would rather wish you didn't, isn't there?
Wow.
You know.
Also, to go back to your point about websites, I just remembered and Breaking Bad. You guys have seen Breaking Bad?
What's that? Yes. I'm one of those losers, Jeff, that watched it when it was on 5-star, staying up to like 1 a.m. to watch new episodes of Breaking Bad. fucking loser me.
Well, the website savewaterwire.com is a real website.
Oh wow, that's cool. I like that.
And
is it still like that? Really like GeoCities
Web 1.0.
Yeah. And in Better Call Saul, there was a website. It was a fake website that Saul was trying to like put in the show to help Huel, and it basically had like it was by a fake church in the show, trying to put like Huel as like a real like man of the community type of thing. And it's still on there. You can still like hear the notes of everyone saying that. Oh, Huel, he helped me when my when my roof caved in. And it's I've got to find
amazing.
it
now. I like it when like a phone number or something is said in a film or TV show, and you can ring it, and it's like, that one little extra step is always I always wonder, like, if someone says a phone number in a film and that's like a real person's phone number, it's like because someone's gonna try it, aren't they?
Found it. It's freewill baptistchurch.com.
Oh man, I would just love to own baptistchurch.com. I think that would be that would get us a lot of traffic, Lauren, I reckon.
The great thing about this is the little donate button. You click it, it goes to a food bank charity website.
Oh, that's amazing. Memory unlocked there, Jeff. If anyone watched I Think You Should Leave, it's a sketch show on Netflix. There's a website in it called calicocutpants.com, which is trousers that have got stains on it, so it looks like you've pissed yourself. But they're designed that way, so if you piss yourself, someone could just be like, "Oh no, who's wearing calico cut pants? He's not pissed himself." That's just how they look. And the kind of tagline of that sketch is, "You've got to give." So some guys made calicocutpants.com, and when you press donate, it goes again to a food bank charity. And like I think that's another lovely thing to do for like extra textual things. And ever seen Always Sunny? This is just bringing back so many memories, Jeff. You're going to regret this now. Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's a character makes something called a dick towel, which is a towel with a big picture of a dick on it. So when you wrap it around you, it looks like you've got a huge dong. and I do think dicktowel.com was a real website you could go to and maybe even buy a dick towel from. Because Always Sunny used to be like a handheldy DV cam show as well. That had like a really makeshifty feel. Again, inspired by people like Blair Witch and stuff, who proved you can make formats and stuff like that. I think I might be smart. I think we're linking things back to what I'm talking about. I think I might be the callback king.
Okay, so Saw was released in 2004 for a budget of 1.2 million.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, it's a bit more than that.
No, it was originally meant to be a direct-to-DVD video.
Right. Oh, okay.
Thing, and then it had a success at Sundance in the January. They pushed to have it released for Halloween in the cinema, and then it's gone on to make $103 million.
That is an insane return on investment.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Is that by a factor of 100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 million to make $100 million. You can make half an Ant-Man movie for that. Yes, again, I think we were talking about earlier, it is horror films that are just these huge return on investments. And like Saw, again, this is when I was talking about films that ruined culture. Saw is a bit of the birth of like I think the genre is dubbed like torture porn, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
like exploitation just as gross as you can go. Like just for the and those Saw films are like just for the sake of it, aren't they?
They are. I haven't seen Saw for a really long time, but when I was like researching it, the poster for Thor is Saw, sorry, is literally just like someone's severed leg, but not just like it's just like a really graphic severed leg. And I was just a bit like unnerved by seeing the poster for the first time in a really long time. It was very, very strange. But I think what made Saw like the big hit that it was its like huge twist. And I think it was just sort of like a breath of fresh air in a film. Not a lot of films
Yeah,
did that kind of thing, and it was a shock for everyone to see it. And so many people were talking about like, oh my God, have you seen Saw? You need to
mm.
watch this. Yeah.
Yeah, like in that first one, and something that it just dilutes every time they make one. Is that first one is like really story driven, and like the actual gore is like maybe the last 10 minutes. Sorry, it starts with gore with the reverse bear trap. Like so,
Mm,
but then most of it is just two guys sat in a bathroom trying to figure out why they're locked in a bathroom.
yeah.
Like it is actually quite like it's not a gross thing happens every 5 seconds. It obviously ends with the guy cutting his spoiler alert for a film that came out 20 years ago. Not my fault. You should have watched it. Ends with a spoiler that the poster ruins. Ends with the guy cutting his foot off. The film's telling you what's going to happen in it from the poster. You
Yeah.
know, like it, but it's not that every 3 minutes. That is the end of the movie. And it's not like I actually think the sequence in 127 hours where he snaps his hand off is more graphic than the bit in Saw where he cuts his leg off. It's not like a close up of it happening, I remember. I think it's the reaction shot of the other guy watching him do it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that makes it more terrifying. The guy's
Again,
reaction.
again, it's the psycho thing, it's the implied violence. It's
Mm.
the, you know, it
What I remember about Saw is a lot of blood, like just big
yes.
pools of blood.
Yes, there's a guy lying in the middle of the bathroom who's covered in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
And again,
That's the thing that comes to my mind. Just massive pools of blood.
yeah. And saying every time they make one, they try and do a more convoluted twist than the last, and it just
It
it's just.
doesn't. It's not the same, is it?
Now, I remember being a young lad and having a bad stomach bug, and maybe watching like four of the Saw films in like essentially in a go, and they just get worse every time. Like it just dilutes and dilutes and dilutes and dilutes.
Well, they're just taking like a formula that they think works, and then like, oh, we have to do this again. This is how we're gonna make our 100 million. This
Yeah.
is how we're gonna do it, and then I suppose they're like diluting the amount of money they make each
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah. Yeah, you could probably do a graph of like return on
Like,
investment for Saw. And I say a graph, it'd be a slant downwards.
Well, you got Saw Rex. Apparently that's had some good reviews.
Yeah, but did it
yeah.
cost $1 million to make and make them $100 million back?
Probably
Probably
not.
not. It's got
Hey,
a
Saw
famous person
Patrol.
in it.
Saw
Saw
Patrol.
Patrol. No, Paw Patrol, Jeff. Paw Patrol.
No. Paw Patrol and Saw coming out on the same day.
Oh, really?
Mm. So it's the next Barbenheimer. So
That's
Nice.
amazing. This is the thing when people harp on about the cinema being the perfect experience. Is like not everyone in the cinema obeys the rules of the cinema.
oh no,
When
don't get me started.
let me tell you,
Oh.
when I went to watch Avengers Endgame, the guy next to me left about hour and a half through, and I was like, "Fair enough, mate. I think this is the halfway point. You're probably gonna miss some good stuff." Then came back to a seat with McDonald's that he'd bought. And then just loudly ate McDonald's for the rest of the film. So, you know, Thanos is inevitable, and Big Mac is like, he was like, lovely. Go on, Jeff, what's your awful cinema story?
It was Barbie, because it's a 12A, you can bring your kids in. Someone brought the kid and they started crying near the end of it, because that's what like kids do. And I think one time I made a beeline down the middle aisle, but for some reason the doors were in the other direction. I don't know where they were going, but then the parent had to come in and run after them and pick them up and like, sorry, and then just like put them back in.
Well, when I went to watch the newest John Wick with my fiance, I was sat there like probably about an hour in, and I was having like a moral dilemma. I was like, this film is like pure violence. And I'm like, you know, is it the responsibility of artists to like, you know, make morally sound, you know, like art that, you know, promotes these people as good, and good people don't go around slaughtering hundreds of people, you know. I'm basically talking about the Hays Code. I'm like, should films be morally good? And then John Wick shotgunned the man through a mirror, and a woman behind me went, "Oh, bloody heck!" And I was like, "Oh no, it's fine. People are reacting to this as it not being like amazing."
Oh, I love that.
When we went to see Thor 3, there was a guy who was, it was a really big guy. He was drunk, I think, but he was talking to someone on the phone while he was pissed. And he was just getting louder and louder. And then towards the end of the film, he kind of lost his shit, and he literally started picking up the chair and like smashing it into the ground, and everyone was just like,
the 4D experience.
yeah.
Lauren, which Marvel film did you go to watch where it was, you said it was like hotter than the surface of the sun?
Oh,
Was that Endgame or Spider-Man?
was it Ant-Man?
Ant-Man.
No, I don't think it was Ant-Man. I think it was one when I was pregnant. It might have been Thor 4.
So a different one.
Yeah, different one was
Thor.
one you sat down, next to you was like the ruins of where a chair once was.
It was the same screen. No, I do remember going to see a Marvel film, but I think I was pregnant and I couldn't actually sit in the seat because I was so flipping hot. I was just like teetering on the edge of the seat.
Yeah, so it's lovely when people like Fincher and Lynch and no one like, oh yeah, the cinema is the perfect place. The only place
it is when people shut up.
Yeah, or you're not heavily pregnant.
Yeah. Basically, you just have to go in at like 11 o'clock in the morning when no one's bothered going in.
Yeah.
Or another one. Oppenheimer, both times. Went to go see it. Oh no. It's the same point. I don't know if it's something about, I'm gonna sound like an old man here, but I don't know what it is about our generation, but can people just like not say anything whenever like sex scenes come up? And it's like
what were they saying?
I was like
just someone whistling.
Oh yeah, it's just like one time it was like teenagers. It's like shut up. Yeah, okay, right.
From my understanding, the sex scene in Oppenheimer is not like very, very sexy, is it? You know,
No,
it's like
no. but there is a bit of nipples, so.
Oh mate.
That's the only reason they went to see it.
Yeah. Forget about the creation of the atomic bomb. I want to see, I assume, is it Florence Pugh's nipples you see?
Hmm.
What a guess.
Just
I only say that because I can't think of another woman in the movie.
Emily Blunt.
Oh, does she play the bomb? Is she the voice of the bomb?
No, that's Oppenheimer's wife.
Oh, and is he having sex with Florence?
Hmm. Spoiler
Yeah, you
alert.
know what? I think well, you can't spoiler alert history, mate. You can't spoiler alert Saving Private Ryan because the Germans lose. Well,
Ugh.
don't tell me our bridge upon the River Kwai ends. I don't know whether the Americans lose this war or not.
Hmm.
I listened to a thing the other day where they were talking about how the kind of closest thing to traditional superhero movies at the moment that you can watch is probably the Fast and Furious franchise. They're like so like good guys versus bad guys, no ambiguity, no like moral complexity. The bad guys are all clearly evil, the good guys are all clearly good. They're built around these huge set pieces, which is crazy because last one I watched, it was about racing cars. But apparently they now like go to space and they're like,
Oh, I don't really
yeah.
understand it. They get called by like the FBI or the CIA to help them with their missions. I'm like, how what?
That is like how a Taskmaster or a Daredevil comic book starts. Like a higher organization get in touch with you to solve some shit.
Hmm.
Jeff, just a quick question. What's your favorite superhero? It doesn't have to be a film, it can be in comic books.
Um. Um. The Incredibles.
Great answer, truly. Incredible 2, probably two of the best superhero works in the past 20 years, probably. Like Brad Bird is an amazing director, sound designer from Star Wars turned Pixar genius, inventor of the not the inventor, but the popularizer of the Wilhelm scream. That's all Brad Bird.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Star Wars, you say?
yeah.
Wow.
The guy, the guy in the pink shorts, Brad Bird, baby.
The
He
boom guy.
yeah,
That's
Wait,
him.
wait, didn't he
yes, Brad
die?
Bird. We all died, Jeff. I don't want to think about it or remind you, but yeah, he was working like on student films at the time, and he's had the Universal Sound Library, and he found man being eaten by crocodile, which is the famous Wilhelm scream. He's like, that is so funny. I'm gonna put that in every film that I make. And then George Lucas was like, "Oh, we need a sound designer," and Brad Bird's like, "Yeah, I'll do some sound design." And whilst he was putting it together, he's like, "Oh, where's that really funny scream I put in all the films that I make?" And then just accidentally changed culture forever.
Wow.
Yeah, and in Lord of the Rings 2 or 3, um, Peter Jackson's in the film and he gets hit by an arrow, and it's him that does the Wilhelm scream, I believe. And in not Empire, Return of the Jedi, Brad Bird's in that, and he gets shot and falls off a rail, and he does like his own version of the Wilhelm scream as he falls off of it.
Okay.
So if you just wanted a brief history of Brad Bird and the Wilhelm scream, there you go.
I
I will
you
say
love to
one,
see it.
yeah, man, apparently just what I don't know could fill a thimble.
Well, you've seen more films than me, so
Yeah, but
well, no, you haven't seen Dolemite.
not seen Dolomite, mate.
So there's one to me, and
Yeah.
however many.
Well, mate, this is a good thing. Maybe to get too real, this is a good thing about being someone with an anxiety disorder. You spend a lot of time inside, and then you kill that time by watching movies.
That,
You
that's
know.
songs you enjoy them, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's better than going outside. Also, my big thing was, Jeff, that my introduction to cinema is I think we talked about this last time on the podcast. I we got Sky in our house when I was about 13. If you don't know what Sky is, it's like essentially cable TV for
Don't
England.
make me feel old.
And I couldn't get any of the channels in my room, basically. But the one channel I could get, two channels I could get, were Film 4 and the Horror Channel.
Oh,
So the channels I could get were film channels. So I figured out if I put my TV volume on free, nobody else in the house could hear it, and I would just sit up all night watching movies. And that's how you get your personality warped. Is you, between the ages of 13 and 18, you don't get more than like 3 hours sleep, and you just watch loads of films.
See, I used to do that, but there was a channel called TCM.
Oh, Turner Classic Movies, yes.
And it was all
One
like
up
black
from
and
the
white
Horror
movies,
Channel.
and very occasionally they'd put Wizard of Oz on, and I was always like, "Oh my god, it's a colour film."
The Wizard of Oz is like, maybe that's close to one of those perfect films. Like, genuinely. Have you seen Wizard of Oz, Jeff?
ages ago.
That's basically no, isn't it? Like, Wizard of Oz is like maybe the perfect family movie. You know, as long as you're not going to get too scared by that witch, you know, you're all good. I think the paint they made her wear to make her green made her very ill, by the way.
Same for the Tin Man.
Yeah, because it's just lead paint, basically. Cover yourself in that, it's fine.
Well, thank you both for joining us. Just remind us, where can people find you?
If Lauren joins me in my pose, the way you can find me and Lauren on the Marvelless Podcast. Your comes out twice a month technically. First weekend of the month is the Marvelless Podcast, where we take two films and compare them. The third weekend of the month is Less Marvel Less, which is a podcast more like this, Jeff, which is more like a discussion around a concept, and sometimes a 40-minute One Piece quiz where I get heat stroke whilst we're doing it.
It's a slow descent into madness that night.
Yeah. I actually, joking aside, I've got a friend who's a medical professional. I spoke to them the next day and talked about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you probably did have heat stroke." But essentially across all the social medias but Instagram, we are the Marvelless Podcast. We're only one of 17 podcasts called the Marvelless Podcast. So we're the one with the white logo that looks a little bit like this.
You'd have to get a real t-shirt made now.
Oh no, here's a call out, Jeff, not to use your podcast as a platform. If you want some Marvel less merch, just buy some Marvel merch and write less over the last bit of it, and that's official Marvel less merch. And when you do that, don't forget to PayPal me and Lauren some money.
It'll all go towards making your podcast even better.
Yeah. Yeah, the big thing is we're saving up to buy me a computer, Jeff.
Right. Oh, so say you're editing it. What are you editing on at the moment?
On my lunch break at work on my work computer.
Okay, we won't let them know about that.
Oh, my boss knows, but it's my lunch break. I can do what I want.
Oh.
Yeah. I work some hours of the day. I get a break when I'm not making severed legs. It's all good.
Well, anyway, you can download the podcast on Spotify, or you can listen to us on YouTube.
Yes, everywhere: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Feel free to leave a review, only if it's nice. If you have hate mail, that goes exclusively to the marvellouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you send us hate mail, we will read it on the show. Because that way we take the power from you.
No one else can see it.
Well, we take it because if you read your hate mail and we read it out, we've delegitimized you, haven't we? Because like, oh yeah, fair enough. The hate mail I read the other day was basically, "Oh, you fucks, watch Interstellar."
Have you watched it, Josh?
Not if we compare it to Endgame, that's like years away for us. Like we do one Marvel film a month. That's like
yeah.
Marvel film 25 or something.
I can't remember what we were
Interstellar's
going.
great.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
love it.
mean, there's so many time travel movies, Jeff. Like,
I can't remember what we were going to do for Endgame.
is it
What was on
Primer?
No. It must be on the list still.
Yeah. See, if you like the dynamic me and Lauren has, I'm stupid but talkative. Lauren is intelligent and quieter. So it's basically kind of just this.
Anything you want to plug that individually?
Just, me, I'm going to speak for Lauren here. We both fully support the writers and the actors strike. Power to the people. People make art, not studios.
Sorry, I meant like social media.
No. I know. I knew what you meant, Jeff. You can bully me personally on every social media platform. I'm at Really Cool Films. But if it's this adjacent, please do it through the Marvellous email so Lauren can read it as well. She gets a kick out of it. Because the hate mail is aimed at me, by the way. Our email I got the other day did say Josh's hate mail.
To be fair, if someone put Lauren's hate mail, I would cry.
So don't do that. But yeah, we will definitely have you on sometime, Jeff.
Oh.
The issue is you're going to have to watch the movies.
Yeah.
Homework. Okay, right.
Yeah. It is a podcast that comes with about 4 hours of homework.
Unless you send the film, it's like, oh, wait, I've actually seen that one. Right. Anything you want to plug, Lauren?
I don't really have any social media, but I do draw in sometimes, so you could go to my Instagram. I think it's Letters by Lauren B. You'll be find some drawing stuff if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, saying Lauren's like drawing and calligraphy is like fantastic. Lauren does all of our graphic stuff, and I just go, yeah, that's good. It is. You're a very talented podcaster, Jeff, because I don't know how every time you do this, you speak to somebody new. Like having Lauren by my side is like my safety net.
You're my safety net. I'm just like,
you're like, oh, just mention anything. Josh will talk about that for half an hour.
Well, thanks guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Jeff.
Appreciate it. And
that's got to be the thumbnail now.
Right. Oh, lovely. Thank you very much, and see you later.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.